All right, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for your Cambridge IGCSE Computer Science Paper 2 and you want to lock in those absolute top marks in algorithm design, well, you are exactly where you need to be. We're totally skipping the fluff today. We're going straight into the high-stakes strategies that literally move the needle on your final grade. Let's get into it. So, take a look at this. Can you spot the fatal mark-losing mistake right here? Seriously, it's a trap examiners set year after year, and falling for it? That can literally cost you an entire grade boundary. No joke. Okay, let's dive into this and see why. On the left, we've got this generic, textbook-style definition of decomposition. Something like, breaking things down. I mean, it sounds okay, right? But it absolutely fails to secure the mark. Why? Because it lacks technical precision. Now look at the right. Here is the syllabus-safe top-band definition. Breaking down a complex problem or system into smaller, more manageable subproblems. See the difference? That vague answer basically leaves the examiner guessing what you know, whereas the precise answer forces them to give you the mark. Moving right along to Section 1, the development life cycle, the 4 core stages. All right, here is the chronological life cycle you absolutely must commit to memory. Ready? Analysis, design, coding, and testing. Now, I'm walking through this super quickly because it is non-negotiable. If an exam question asks you to outline the development process and you skip a step, or heaven forbid, mix up the order, you are dropping a guaranteed mark. It's a strict sequence for a very good reason. So let's see how this actually builds into our design phase. Top-down design is simply the breakdown of a computer system into subsystems, which is then represented in a hierarchical structure diagram. What does that mean in plain English? Well, it's kind of like a giant puzzle. You take this massive, terrifying software project and you chop it down into smaller, bite-sized tasks until each one is small enough to actually program. Which brings us to Section 2, Command Words, Decoding the Exam. Let's rapid fire through these, because this is absolutely crucial. If they say state or define, they want a concise answer. Describe, give them the characteristics. Explain requires the why or the how. Compare means you got to talk about both sides. Calculate means show you're working, and suggest means you absolutely must apply your answer to the specific scenario they gave you. Now, listen up, because the most classic exam trap of all is answering an explain question with a state answer. You might write a true fact, but if you don't explain why, you score a 0. Ouch. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to show you the hidden examiner clue that changes your answer completely. But first, you need the framework that makes it all obvious. Here we go, Section 3. The answer framework, the 4-step formula. So the crucial point here is this exact 4-step framework. 1. State the concept. 2. Provide evidence or data straight from the question. 3. Apply scientific or computational reasoning. And 4. Use precise examiner wording. By forcing every single long-form answer through this exact filter, you eliminate the waffle, you hit the keywords, and you align perfectly with the mark scheme every single time. Let's put that to the test in Section 4, Interactive Challenge, Structure Diagrams. All right, I want you to actively engage with this one. We've got a fill-in-the-blank workbook exercise. On the right is your word bank, hierarchical, subsystems, breakdown, top-down. On the left, a paragraph defining structure diagrams. Do me a favor and pause this explainer right now, read the paragraph, and mentally place those 4 terms in the correct blank spaces. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, let's get the red pen out. On the left is how a super stressed student might guess the layout, just completely mixing up the terms. But on the right, we have the correct sequence. Structure diagrams show the top-down design of a computer system in a hierarchical way, giving a detailed breakdown of the system into subsystems. And this brilliantly illustrates our framework in action. Understanding that top-down as a core concept naturally dictates a hierarchical visual layout on the page. Moving on to Section 5. Common exam mistakes. Avoid these traps. Look, when you're stressed, your psychology shifts. You start writing the exact same point twice just to fill space on the page. And let me tell you, examiners hate that. Or maybe you write a brilliant generic answer, but you completely ignore the scenario constraints they gave you in the prompt. But you want to know the absolute biggest Paper 2 destroyer? Confusing validation with verification. Remember this, validation is the computer checking if data is reasonable and follows the rules, like an email needing an @ symbol. Verification is checking if the data matches the original source, like typing a password twice. Mix those up and your algorithm response completely crumbles. Which brings us to the absolute golden rule of Cambridge exams. Read it with me. 1 mark usually needs 1 distinct technical point. Seriously, examiners do not give you points for writing a novel. They give you points for distinct, technically accurate statements. If it's a 3-mark question,
You need 3 distinct technical points. Period.
Let's apply that in Section 6, Answer Upgrades Securing Top Marks.
Take a look at the text comparison here. The left side is a pretty low-level answer. I mean, sure, it mentions inputs and outputs generically, but it completely ignores the scenario given in the question. It's totally disconnected. Now, look over at the right side. This high-level answer maps perfectly to the scenario. It uses the specific nouns provided in the prompt, it details the exact inputs and outputs required for that specific problem, and it correctly incorporates selection to make decisions based on the scenario's constraints. It leverages our 4-step framework flawlessly to lock down every single available mark.
All right, Section 7, final recap, your exam strategy. Okay, here is your core methodology summarized. Step 1, always identify the trap before you write a single word. Step 2, match your answer depth perfectly to the examiner's command word. Step 3, apply that 4-step framework, concept, evidence, reasoning, wording. And step 4, the golden rule, 1 mark equals 1 distinct technical point. This structured, visual approach is exactly how you need to tackle paper 2.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations. So, you now have the ultimate framework to craft a flawless, high-mark answer. But let me ask you this. What happens when you're sitting in that exam hall, the clock is ticking down to the final 5 minutes, and pure panic sets in? Having the best framework in the world won't save you if you run out of time to use it. You absolutely need a system to beat the clock, and that is exactly what we're covering in our next explainer on the timed answer writing system. You cannot afford to miss it. So jump over to that explainer right now, and I'll see you there.